I would like to inform everyone that Sean Driscoll, the authority's communications director, is making an audio and video recording of today's meeting. Is there anyone else making an audio recording of today's meeting? If so, please identify yourself by pressing the raise your hand icon, or if you are joining by phone, pressing *9 on your keypad. And when you are recognized, please state your name for the record. Thank you. Anyone else? Louisa?
Hi, Louisa Huffstadter, senior writer for the Vineyard Gazette, recording. Thank you.
Rich?
Hi, Rich from the MV Times.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I need to make a statement regarding remote participation. Pursuant to Section 20 of Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, and in line with social distancing guidelines followed during the COVID-19 pandemic, board members are participating remotely in today's meeting because their physical attendance today would be unreasonably difficult. Board members are participating in the meeting by the Zoom video conferencing app, and all members will be clearly audible to each other. As a result of the members' remote participation in this meeting, any and all votes taken by the members today shall be by roll call vote. Okay. Well, the first item on our agenda is approval of the minutes of the October 18th, 2022 meeting in public session. Any discussion?
Move the minutes. I'll second.
May I have a vote?
Jeffrey, I.
Jones, aye.
Falcon, I.
Randy, aye.
Tierney, aye. Is Mr. Cahill available?
Yes, Sean will bring him over.
There he is.
Hey, good afternoon, Madam Chair, and good afternoon, Board of Governors.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cahill.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. We all met as a Port Council on November 1st. Many of the same topics you have on your agenda today were discussed. We reviewed the proposed 2023 reservation only dates. No vote was taken. We also discussed the preferred space changes, which you'll be taking up today. And the only vote that we did take was that we approved the island commuter license renewal. And that's what occurred on November 1st. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Cahill.
Thank you.
And now we have the general manager's report.
Okay, so I don't know whether the camera is picking everyone up that's in the room or not. But staff wise, in addition to myself, Mark Rosen, Terrence Keneally, Sean Driscoll, is Bill Cludia, Kimberly McHugh, Allison Fletcher, Janice Kennepick, Mark Emerson, and I think that's it. Yes. First one is an update on the website, ADK, and ask Sean to come around and present.
I can stay here.
Or you can stay there.
Okay. Even better. Good afternoon, everybody. I hate to check. So just a brief update, we're deeply into development right now. So a lot of the work that's been going on has been on the technology side and working to advance the API stability and functionality and continuing to connect to real-time data from the reservation system for testing. The technology team also worked on a proof of concept prototype for the new credit card processor IGIN that the Steamship Authority is using. The design team reviewed photography and videography from our recent photo shoot to provide recommendations for images to be used at launch. And on the content side, ADK specialists were working on blog posts and additional informational pages. ADK also began measuring consumer effort score on the current site to measure the ease of booking a reservation and changing a reservation. And the same measurements will be taken on the new site for comparison. We also began discussions about an internal and external communications plan around launch, which will include staff training, communication with customers about the new functionality on the website, creation of videos, how-tos, and other instructional materials, and a media plan. And we also have reached an agreement with Storyblock to use their content management system platform for the new website. The headless product will be a great improvement over our current CMS and will allow a more flexible way for us to provide information to our customers. And as always, our public engagement has been ongoing via the biweekly e-news and website updates at steamshipauthority.com/website project. So I'm happy to take any questions. Know where to look. Any options?
There's a question, if I may. Sean, as you know, you met with myself, and Jeffries, John Kale. And one of the questions I think probably for you, Bob, is concern that I've raised before about garbage in, garbage out. And we make a great website. How do we make sure that the business information feeds the website in terms of communication with our customers about traveling status, about their reservations, about what's going on a given day? And that seems to be a business process, not a website. So what steps are we taking on the business process? Who's responsible? What are they doing? Love to hear about that.
So some of the efforts that we're doing there, we've been investigating different apps, different feature programs that are out there that we could disseminate to all of our employees with company phones. That way we have a quicker, more concise way of being able to transmit information from one group to another. I think some of the issues are, particularly with delays and cancellations, are that sometimes those don't happen until last minute. The determination has to be made as to whether it's a delay or we're going to be okay, and things like that. So it's not, for the most part, those aren't things that we're putting out a delay an hour or two early. It's usually within 15 minutes or so of the sailing, which unfortunately doesn't help a lot of people because we request people to be at the terminal between an hour and a half hour before sailing. So, but I think to be able to get the standard message out to our frontline people, that way they know what the issue is, instead of being a word of mouth type issue, will drastically improve our communications with our customers. So we look forward to trying to bring one of those programs on sooner than later.
And we had heard, thank you, we had heard before about information on the marine side, information on the shore side, needing to be consolidated so everybody's operating on the same, off of the same page.
Yes,
And you think that will help with that situation?
that will help. Excuse me, that should help because we'll be able to establish groups to be able to get that message out. So we'll be able to establish the products we've been looking at. All of them have the ability to establish groups, so those core groups can disseminate the messages from there. Or if not, we can do a universal broadcast of any messages that need to go out amongst our employees. And then another
An appropriate decision tree to bring that.
Correct. Right. And then another project that we still have on the capital drawing board is to signage at the terminal. So that way there's a board available that will be able to inform people if there is a delay or status if a boat for some reason is not going to be able to go into Oak Bluffs, be able to let them know ahead of time before they're walking on the boat that it's going to be rerouted.
Thank you.
Mr. Attorney, I have several questions, if I may.
You certainly may. I couldn't see you. So if any of the board members have questions, can you just chime in, because I can only see certain views. So go
I guess
ahead, Mr. Jeffrey.
my first question would be, where are we in terms of current launch date? When we last met, it's March.
Correct.
What's the probability that you would push that out further?
Low.
And then how much have we spent in terms of our budget to date?
We are still The percentage I don't have right in front of me, but I know that we made, all but the last 3 progress payments, so I can get that percentage to you after the meeting.
And then when do you anticipate developing and implementing the training as well as the media and communications plan? And who will be responsible for that?
That'll fall under my role as project manager. We've had our kickoff meeting. We have an afternoon workshop scheduled for later in December, sorry, it's still November, to start formalizing that, those products. So we'll be developing that between now and the end of the year.
Again, how much lead time do you believe will give our customers to, I guess, train or become familiar with the new system before it goes live?
I don't have a precise timeline. I mean, it'll be not the day of, I mean, hopefully, at least several weeks ahead, we'll start to circulate those informational materials, and hopefully we'll be able to run a beta test side by side with the current website so people can practice on it before the main steamshipauthority.com reroutes to the new site, but we're still working on some of the details.
And I guess what level of what types and level of customer support are we going to have upon launch
That's
for our consumers, including live customers?
Sure, I mean, the reservation office ends up fulfilling that role a lot, which is why getting the reservation office staff trained first and more thoroughly is very important. We've also been talking about having a chat functionality that would be available at least in the initial stages. We have to figure out the staffing for that beyond the hours that the reservation office are open, so that might be something where members of the website team volunteer to take a night and answer questions that way. So that's part of what's going to be under discussion when we meet in December.
And when, and will you present that to the board, and when do you anticipate?
I will report back in January.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Any other questions? Can we move on now to the Woods Hole Terminal site work?
All right, so if Bill comes up to the table here. Lawrence Lynch continues to perform site work. It still remains on the south side of our property in Woods Hole, but Bill can let us know how much longer that will be before it starts moving on.
Yeah, sure. Work on the south side has been particularly difficult because of the size of the stormwater structures. And a lot of interference with other utilities going to the slips from the freight shed. But I'm happy to say that the structures are all in, the water line connecting to the town's water line on Cowdrey Road is complete. And we're in our last probably 2 weeks of work in this particular work site. This week we'll be we're burying these structures and raising the elevation to what in some places will be as much as 10 feet, which will be kind of nice, interesting to see in comparison with the site that been mostly at for the life of the site. It's been mostly at 5 feet, 5.5 feet. So I anticipate we're filling in this week. We'll be adding a lot of fill to the work site, and the following week we'll be paving, and then we'll move on to phase 5C. And schedule wise, we're doing quite well. I think we're right on schedule, and we've made up some time that we lost in the early phases of in the early stages of the project kickoff of the project. John, I'm ready for pictures. All right, so this is the work site that we're working on, looking towards the water. In the middle of the site, you can see the size of the structures that are going in. So these structures are large because they're collecting a lot of water from the back of the site and transporting it to the outfalls at the slip. Some of them are as big as 36 inches in diameter. Next, Sean. Okay, so you can see the holes that were necessary to dig, get these structures in place and interconnect the piping. On the bottom, you can see that we had a dewatering was necessary to get any of these structures in. That was ongoing for the last 3 weeks. Next, Sean. This is you know, this is a landside picture with a trench support, and the size of you get an idea of the size of the trenches that needed to be dug to get these structures in place. Next, Sean. Okay, this is the retaining wall at the south of the property that continues. The retaining wall was started under the marine contract and ends where the new fence is, and now it's continuing on, and that fence will continue as well. Next, Sean. This is just another aerial view of the work site, looking more towards the land side. Next. And this is right here, we're connecting the stormwater collection of the employee lot with this work site, so it'll eventually go out to the outfall at slip one. Next. This is just an aerial view of the work site, looking towards the land. The darker pavement that you see kind of top middle of the picture was phase 5A. That elevation was raised to +8. And as I said, some of the elevation in this work area will be raised to a +10. And the next phase is phase 5C, and it's just to the left of those concrete Jersey barriers that are in place to as a retaining wall until we can get to that work site. I have no other questions. I have no other information. I'll take questions.
Are there any questions?
I just have one comment, suggestion. So thanks for the report. I think they're keeping us updated, and everyone in Woods Hole. It's more of doing something proactively so the steamship doesn't get blamed. It has nothing to do with the reconstructions impacting it, but the concrete barriers on the north end where Luscombe meets Railroad Ave is turning into a de facto waiting parking lot area. And it's not the steamship's property, not all. And so I would think that if we could coordinate or be ahead of the game when people complain to the steamship about that by informing those people that we are letting the Department of Public Works and it's a Falmouth police issue.
Are you referring to over by where Kaboom Park was?
Correct.
So that was something earlier this year in which we, the Falmouth DPW asked to meet with us, and we went down there. And although we don't encourage it, the ride shares and people who are frequent commuters would go down Luscombe and stage waiting on Luscombe for their whoever it is that they're giving a ride to. So the Falmouth DPW had asked if we could pull those barriers in to try to get those vehicles off the main road, so that way it provided some continued access through Luscombe onto Railroad Ave. So you know, in that aspect, we were working with the Falmouth DPW on trying to keep that road open as much as possible, and they acknowledge that it's, you know, we don't have the ability to stop these other ones, but if we can do anything we can, so that's what we ended up doing.
There's some taking advantage of that space parking
Yeah.
diagonally.
So there's also a space farther up by where the tree adjacent to the plaza, in which it's striped out now, but even when we were there with the DPW, people would come around Luscombe and pull in there and be waiting, and and so we've in the past we've we asked the DPW if they had a problem, and we put some cones there to try to discourage people from doing that, and they were okay with that. And I think at times, though, I don't know whether they're there all the time.
That's great. I want the steamship to be ahead on the PR games. That it's not our fault.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, the next topic is the Eagle Dry Dock status.
Okay. Let's Mark to come up.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Eagle
Hello,
is
Mark.
currently. The Eagle is currently on dock at Senesco in North Kingstown, Rhode Island, with going through the final stages with an intended undocking of approximately the 10th of December and return approximately the 15th of December back to Fairhaven to commence the repair period. And we can put some slides on. This slide here is very interesting. It's as we know, the Eagle operates out of Hyannis and to Nantucket, and here we see a lot of abrasion, sand abrasion that that we've gone through, taking extra non-destructive NDE readings, gagings in that area, but goes to show the necessitation. We're going to need some dredging coming up here in the next year or two. Next, just a photo of the tail shaft rudder assemblies. Rudders were overhauled as well as the tail shafts and props removed and for refurbishment. Next. This is one of the gauging company taking a non-destructive gauging readings on the steel. Next. We did some maintenance on the remove the bow thrust of the service, and it's back together now, getting ready for undocking. Next. This is a new UV purification system we put in for our passengers and crew. It's a modern system, removes bacteria from any bacteria in the system, and we believe that it's a good refurbishment project for the passengers on board. Next. This is just we're doing some structural steel renewal on inboard of the shell plating. So the highlights, we did bow thruster overhaul, structural steel renewals, blasting and coating in the hull and superstructure, new UV purification system, and overhaul of the shafts. And right now is there's a financial snapshot of our contract. We're performed very well on this. We do have some change orders we'll see in the next December, but overall we're in pretty good shape. Any questions, anyone?
So just to add to what Mark had to say about the bulbous bow, there we are trying to work with the harbor master in Hyannis to try to emphasize the importance of the Corps of Engineers getting the dredging of the harbor on the docket. So.
The Aquina and Monomoy status.
All right, so for that, we just want to give you an update as to where we are in the design and the bidding process on the vessels.
So this is a profile view of the vessel as converted. And it shows a plan view of the passenger areas and the water closets outside of the superstructure. And this is part of the new MES system that we're marine evacuation system, including slides that, in the uneventful, we have to evacuate the ship. These are a very modern day evacuation system. So this is a project status of where we have. So we've acquired the vessels in September, design and engineering completed in November. The invitation for bids went out on the 9th of November, and they're due back by the 9th of January. And then we'll have a week for the evaluation of the bids, and then bring it to the board for a vote of proceeding. So following that, we'll have the dry dock period, sea trials, transit, and crew training. Once we know the locations, we'll be able to populate those areas. Any questions?
So the date also on those, the bid openings, was moved. We've had quite a few shipyards that have reached out to us for the bid package. Because of the holidays and everything else, and the extent of, the documentation that we have for the dry docking, they've asked to, extend that, by a week or two, so we end up extending it till, January 9th, and we'll, seek to have it awarded at the January meeting.
Will that push?
Any other
back,
questions?
Yes,
Mr. Malcolm?
well, thank you. Would that push back, in service dates by several weeks?
Potentially, we don't know what the yard's intentions are in terms of how much manpower they'll be able to put on these, but I think the plan that we're looking at now is that we probably wouldn't be getting delivery of these vessels, the first vessel until probably sometime in June or perhaps even July at this point. And then we have our schedule has calls for a 30-day training period, and once we get that close, we don't know whether we're gonna have the manpower in order to be able to devote a separate crew just to be doing the training all the,
Summertime.
during the summertime.
Any
Where,
other questions?
how broad did we ask for our bids? I know there was talk about just looking at shipyards in the Gulf of Mexico, because that's where the vessels are currently, or were, where we purchased them. Is it open to all US shipyards or East Coast?
We've had 27 interested parties looking
Okay.
at the bid package, and that ranges from as north as Rhode Island right down to the Gulf. They're very interested in the package.
Okay. All right, how about the proposed 2023 reservation only dates?
Thank you.
All right. So, in the packet is staff summary from Angela Campbell on the proposed 2023 summer reservation only date for the bathing ground. Much like we did for 2022, we're looking at every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday from May 19th to October 23rd, having that reservation only days for vehicles, as well as some additional dates, which are May 25th and 30th, which is Memorial Day weekend. June 27th, 28th, and 29th, which is leading up to the 4th of July week. And then 4th of July, the 5th and the 6th week of 4th of July. So effectively, that 2-week period, the week before and the week of 4th of July, will be reservation only. Then we have August 22nd, which is a big day after all the activities on the islands, the agricultural fair and everything that people trying to get off, and then September 5th, the day after Labor Day. So during that time period, our office hours are extended in partnership with the high-speed passenger only schedule as well. So we're from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. For Memorial Day weekend, the 19th to the 22nd. Then going into the 4th of July, June 2nd through the 29th, and again in September. And then in the height of the summer, it's 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. For the office hours on the reservation only days. And Allison, I don't know if you have anything that Angela wanted us to.
No, I mean, there is a difference in the times, 7 to 6 and then 7 to 8, depending on the time of year for the reservation only, but that's just in regards to staffing, so.
Any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Malcolm. Could you talk a little bit about the general reaction of the traveling public to reservations only versus standby? Because on one hand, I get people saying it's great because there are more reservation only days, so I can get more reservations. And on the other hand, I got people who are saying there's no standby, I can't get standby.
Right.
So how's the traveling public reacting?
I mean, generally speaking, I think it works very well, especially when it comes to the day of situations. I know can be an inconvenience sometimes to call a phone number or go into the ticket office repeatedly to try to get something. But inevitably, it always works out. I mean, very rarely have we ever had situations where we can't help out customers and get them on the boats. One of the things that we're hoping to do is, with the Blue Line. Potentially changing the name, because it's a little ambiguous or lost in description. And then really trying to get that information out, and maybe having another open house like we did last year. Just try to get more information out and try to educate the public as best as we can, because that's one of the bigger things that we need to do.
That
So,
would be key. Blue line, I think people really understand what it is.
Including our own employees.
right,
I'm sorry.
Including our own employees.
Well, there's that, yes.
So, and I think part of this is, you touched on is that, different perspectives. I know there's some businesses that would prefer to have the standby. Versus, some, just residents. The issue here is that, we're proposing to continue the reservation only dates into the fall. That was an issue, 2 or 3 years ago here in Woods Hole. And so we've continued that. In fact, I think it ends up being 4 additional days this year compared to 2022. That we've added the reservations only day. So, but it's critical that on how important it is for us to be maintaining, looking at what the allocations are for the vessels and making sure that we stay on top of that in order to make this work as seamlessly as possible.
And pardon me, and then the other thing is, it is reservation only day, sorry. With reservation only days, the issue for people on the island is if they need to get off for medical.
Yep.
So.
yeah, and I know the agents, especially on the vineyard side, try to do everything they can to get people off when it comes to those situations for a time of matter, so.
Not hearing any others?
About proposed redistribution and preferred space.
Thank you, was good.
Let you go, you got it.
Okay, so staff is. No vote necessary for that. Okay. So the staff is requesting approval of a proposed redistribution of the 7-day preferred spaces, as well as an addition to the program. So we've gone back and we've looked at the preferred space from that's May 17th through October, so the full summer schedule. And when we looked at that, it ended up being on the Vineyard Run, only 83% of the spaces end up getting used. On the 1 days, it's even less, it's only 39% of the 1 days. And one of the things we heard during the summertime was that people looking for the availability of the preferred space. And I think what we looked at was reallocating the preferred space to trips that are in higher demand. We're seeing some mid-morning trips that, while we have preferred space there, that people aren't selecting those. So we're going to be looking to redistribute those to trips that we feel may be a better, more use. Let's see, we also have a designation for vehicles that are over height is also included in that. On the Vineyard route right now, there's 144 preferred spaces set aside during the summer schedule, 120 during the shoulder season, and 112 during the winter and fall and winter schedule. And there's always 90 preferred spaces returning to the islands year round. On Nantucket, it's a little different. We're up to 16 preferred spaces per day set aside during the summer schedule, as well as the shoulder schedules, and then only 12 in the fall and winter, fewer trips. On Nantucket, 52% of those spaces ended up being used this past year. And I know that they're popular. I didn't know why the number seems low to me, but I think that's because we increased the number of spaces previously. Nantucket was only 7 or 8 spaces, and now it's gone up to 12 to 16 spaces. So what staff is recommending is that there be no change to the number of 7 days and 1 day preferred spaces, but that we reallocate them to more popular trips. But we're also recommending adding some additional 30-day preferred spaces to help islanders with long-range planning. If people don't know during Head Start that they have an appointment, but they know 30 to 45 days out that they have an appointment. So we want to add some spaces there and see how those go. But as part of all this, we're looking to revert back to the original policy that we had, that if any preferred space is unsold during the day before departure, that they become available to anyone. It's not just islanders or preferred excursion customers with the preferred. So we changed that 2 years ago because there was such a demand. We wanted to hold that space as long as possible.
That I think was COVID too, between the two.
We did bring this up at the Port Council meeting, and on their meeting on November 1st, they were asked, they were not asked to vote on it, but they were brought up to date on this proposal.
I think Mr. Jones has a question. Mr. Jones?
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you, but we
Having
can't
a-
see you.
I'm having a lot of trouble with my computer. Speaker's working, and I bought a new computer on Black Friday, and it's not hooked up yet, so you have to bear with me. I got a quick question here. As you know, Bob, that I had about 3-4 weeks ago with a trucker who was having complaints that some of his, and you've explained a little bit of it to me, but we still have to get back to that trucker. But my question is, with taking and increasing all these, what inland truckers, anything is an impact? Are those spaces going to be, how are you going to disseminate them?
This is just automobile space, so it does not impact the truck space during our reservations. And
It's all the trucks.
You said-
and-
It's not affecting the truck space.
it does not impact the truck space because it's the automobile space, so it's, the space that we have under the wings or at the ends of the middle of the row. So it's not going to be impacting any of the bulk truck reservations. We are cognizant though that this is, we're pulling aside space that potentially would be sold in January when we open up the summer reservations. So we want to go lightly on this. We don't want to be holding too much space aside. But we can, it's a trial, and we'll look at modifying it as we go along.
Okay. Anything else?
Madam Chair.
Here because
Yes,
I
Mr.
can't
Malcolm?
could connect.
Thank you. Could you send me the statistics on usage on those preferred spaces? That would be very helpful. And I do want to say that I appreciate what the Steamship Authority is doing and trying to do to accommodate the islanders, as well as the more trips during the morning coming off, more availability coming back on, as well as the issue of the 30 days. So thank you very much. And I also want to thank the board for supporting this in our prior conversation. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, let's move on to Island Commuter Corp. license renewal for 2023.
You need a vote. So I'll ask Terrence if he's.
You need a vote for that?
No, but do you have a community code?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. Okay, of course. Afternoon, everybody.
Hi, Terrence.
As we've done in the past every year, we take a look at the license agreement with the Island Queen or Island Commuter Court. Mr. Jones, can you hear us okay?
Yes.
Be following,
Okay, so
So again, Island Queen came to us at the end of October, actually on October 24th. Requested renewed license agreement to run one additional round trip between Falmouth and Oak Bluffs. Mondays through Thursdays during its 2023 spring and fall schedules. Again, this is something we do every year. In exchange for that license, the Steamship Authority receives a licensing fee, which is equal to 50% of the authority's average revenue per passenger on the Martha's Vineyard route on the preceding year. So last year, that rate was like $5 and last year it was $5.96. This year, I'm sorry, 57 cents. Thank you, Bob. It was $5.57 this past year. So we accumulated about $8,500 on licensing fees for that license. So what we're looking forward from the board today is renewal for their 2023 license agreement. We require a vote on that. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to take them.
So two additional things. One, in the absence of this, since this is addresses the grandfather nature of this service, without approval of this, there would be no additional round trips available. I think with Thursdays during the time period, and no afternoon trips from Falmouth to from Falmouth or morning trips from Oak Bluffs. So I think there's a overall convenience for the island. The Port Council did vote on this at the meeting and voted unanimously to approve it. So,
I have one question. How do we come up with the license fee?
Sure.
The math there.
Yeah, so what we do is we take the passenger revenue, the parking revenue that's earned on the Martha's Vineyard route. And then we divide that by the number of passengers carried and come up with an average. And that's what and then we take 50% of that fee of that number. So for example, this past, the average revenue for passengers on the Martha's Vineyard route in June of 2022 was $11.14. So the licensing fee is 1/2 of that, so it's $5.57. And then we charge that to on the commuter corps for every passenger they carry for those trips. So does that make sense?
No, that makes sense. When's the last time, is that an industry standard in terms of how did we come up with it should be 50%?
So
that's the way it's been. I'm very proud of their explanation, by the way. Oh, thank you, Ryan. I actually read the background, so I hope I don't want to say.
So previously, Island Queen didn't run this service. It's only been the last 7 years, I think, now that they did so. And I think initially it was an error on their part. They already put the schedules out, and it was noted that they had started their schedule a week before they should have. So in order to, since they had already got all their advertising out, schedules out, the solution was to come up with a license agreement for it. In terms of the service during that time of year, these would be customers that we would be able to be transported. And so it had more of a direct impact on our ridership than perhaps some of the other services. Now, for instance, whether it's in the Falmouth Diggertown Ferry or Peach Street or Highline, those are graduated scales based on how many they hit certain levels. The percentage goes up on each one of them, but straight out and clear, it's just been straight 50%.
When's the last time we looked at? I'm just curious about how often we look at our licensing fee structure of how we determine.
So typically, all the other licenses are generally done on a 3-year basis. There's been some 1-year rollovers because of COVID and the like, but generally they've been 3-year licenses. Again, the Island Commuter Corp one has just been a year-by-year one that they haven't chosen to come forward asking for a 3-year one. They've only been asking for 1-year one. So. And again, I think the issue is that during that time of year, if they're going to be out there, then we do want them to be running that. There's too much of a gap, either coming to the island or leaving the island, if they didn't run these extra trips.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, other than we're looking for a vote on the request for a renewed license for Island Community Court.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second, Malcolm.
Roll call vote?
Jeffrey, I.
Mr. Jones? Mr. Jones, can you hear us?
You're muted.
Can you hear me? I'm struggling with my video and my audio.
Do you want to vote on that lease extension?
More, I'll
License.
pass.
Okay,
Malcolm, I.
next. Randy?
Maybe I.
And Tierney, aye. Do we have the Veterans Day promotional results?
All right, we just want to give a quick update. Back in September 2020, the board authorized an ongoing Veterans Day promotion, allowing for free passenger travel aboard the steamship vessels for all military men and women, including those that are on active duty on Veterans Day. So on the Vineyard route this year, we had 47 tickets issued, 30 off island and 17 to the island. Last year we had 52. And on the Nantucket route, we had 36, 18 going to the island and 18 coming from the island. So there were even Stevens there, and we had 38 the year before. So we just wanted to provide this for informational purposes, but it's a tribute to the board to decide that they want to honor veterans on Veterans Day. So
Thank you. And now we have the treasurer's report. I think that's
Afternoon,
Mr.
everyone.
Rosen.
Madam Chair. Business summary for the month of September. Passengers carried on both routes combined for the month of September compared to the previous year, we're up 18,601 passengers, or 0.1%. On the Vineyard route, we're up 5%, and on the Nantucket route, we're up 10.5%. Both routes combined year to date, we're up just over 149,000 passengers, or 7%. Here's a slide showing the monthly comparison of 2021 to 2022 for our passengers for both routes combined. Okay, here's the vehicles under 20 feet comparison, also known as passenger vehicles. On the Vineyard route, we're down just under 1,800 cars, or 3.3%. On the Nantucket route, we're down 177 cars, or 1.8%. Both routes combined are down 3.1% for the month of September, or 1,968 vehicles. Year to date, both routes combined are down 2.3%, or equivalent to 10,822 vehicles. Here's the monthly comparison for the passenger vehicles. Freight vehicles over 20 feet. Both routes combined are up 4.8%, 398 vehicles. And again, all the vehicles are one-way statistics. Year to date, both routes combined are up 4% at 2,849 vehicles. Here's the monthly comparison. Cars parked for the month of September, both routes combined were up 5.4%, or just over 1,000 vehicles. Year to date, we're up 6.7%, or 8,628 vehicles. Again, here's a chart showing the monthly comparison. Trip summary for the month of September. On the Vineyard route, we had no trips canceled for mechanical or weather and 7 for traffic. On the Nantucket route, we have 14 for mechanical, 1 for weather, and 2 for traffic. That brings the year-to-date cancellations for mechanical to 118 for both routes combined, 228 for weather, and 156 for traffic. Financial snapshot for the month of September. We had operating revenue of $14,663,000, which was higher than budget by $1,401,000.
We had other income of $672,000, which is lower than budget by $1.2 million, and that's some timing with grant revenue, recognition of that. Operating expenses of $10,694,000 was higher than budget by $543,000. And net, putting all this together, we have net operating income of $4,482,000, which was more than budget by $396,964. Year to date, net operating income of $20,504,000 was higher than budget by $2,958,000. Here's a breakdown of the revenues. All categories are up with the exception of the automobile revenue. That's both the quantity and the breakdown of the standard fare and excursion fares. Here's a graph showing where each revenue, how it compares to the piece of the pie, both for September and year to date. Operating expenses, maintenance for the month was up $1 million. That's really timing with the containment, with the drive from what we originally budgeted to having the dry dock schedule change. That was $666,000. And then we had Matlin home in September, and that was $118,000. So of that $1 million, $800,000 of those two boats. Fuel oil expense for the month was up $67,000. We budgeted $2.49. It came to $2.70. Year to date, fuel is up $581,000 or 9.5%. It's just a breakdown of all the operating expenses. Passengers carried for the month of October, we're up 11,000 passengers at 4.5%. Year to date, we're up 6.7%. And here are the all vehicles combined. The Vineyard was up almost flat, 108 vehicles at 0.2%, and the Nantucket was up 280 vehicles at 2.6%. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
Hearing
And as a, to the month that we get the first 2 weeks of November in, and passengers are still continuing to be up there, up 8.4% for both routes combined. And vehicles of both routes combined are off about 1.8%. So put in perspective, similar trends to what we've been seeing year to date.
The chair stepped away at the moment, so if I can continue on for procurement or.
Oh, we did. We can straight out here.
Okay. Hi, Rod, I know you're here. So first item we have is request vote for the board to authorize the general manager to execute purchases of miscellaneous seat covers and coverings for the MV Eagle from Bertaux, Australia, of Henderson, Australia for parts and shipping totaling $100,610.40. The steamship authority intends to purchase the seats and coverings for refurbishment of the seats on the MV Eagle. This originally, we didn't anticipate this being over $100,000, but the shipping ended up coming in substantially higher than what we had anticipated. So as a result of this, it is now over $100,000. So we're asking for authorization to authorize the general manager to execute the purchases of the seat coverings under PO 008-18849 for a grand total of $100,610.40.
I have a, is this who we originally purchased the seats from?
Yeah, so the seats on most of these vessels are the newest seats are all from Bertaux. We have identified a US manufacturer, so actually I think the Equinor and the Monomoy, we would anticipate that we'll be going to the US manufactured seats in those vessels, but back to the time that Bertaux was the go-to seat manufacturer.
You anticipated my next question.
Any other questions? We have a vote?
Yeah,
I have a motion?
I make the motion.
Motion to,
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote?
Jeffrey, I.
Mr. Jones?
Jones, I, can you hear me?
Yes?
Yes.
Yes, Malcolm, I.
Rainey, I.
Tierney, I.
Thank you. Next item we have is
Bob.
a request.
Bob, would you ask Sean to bring me over from the gallery? I just brought my laptop up.
Okay. So you got to give it, you have to log off on the one you have, otherwise we'll get a lot of back feed.
We can see you. And hear you. Five B, Mr. Davis?
Yeah, Sean's bringing them over right now. One without the addition. Mr. Jones, can you hear us? You're muted. We can now see you. We can hear you now.
I can hear you fine. You can't sing. Go ahead.
All right, next is a request, we'll vote of the board to authorize the general manager to execute the purchase of miscellaneous engine parts for the MBIO, including turbochargers, fuel injectors, fuel pumps, lube oil pumps, cylinder heads, liners, pistons, conrods, bearings for an MTU 4000 series engine, and other miscellaneous parts to Stewart and Stevenson Power Products LLC, Atlantic of Marlboro, Mass, for a total price of $452,294.21. Stewart and Stevenson Power Products LLC, Atlantic is a sole authorized sales, parts, and service distributor for MTU America Inc. for the Southern New England. The Steam Super Authority intends to purchase these parts to rebuild one of the engines that we have. That way, that along with a new engine that we'll be receiving shortly, we'll have two spares for the MBI and also. We're asking, we want to accelerate this purchase into 2022, so it's not hitting the 2023 budget. The price is $452,294, but we expect a core credit back of $75,714 roughly. So after everything, it'll be $376, $580.47. So we're asking authorization to authorize the general manager to execute the purchase of this miscellaneous engine parts from Stewart Stevenson Power Products LLC of Marlboro, Mass. The total contract price of $452,294.21.
Any discussion? Yes, Mr. Randy?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Yes, you do.
Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Jeffrey, I.
Jones, I.
Malcolm, I.
Rainey, I.
Tierney, I.
Thank you. Next, we're requesting a vote of the board to authorize the general manager to execute the purchase of miscellaneous engine parts for the MV Katama. This is by engine parts, turbochargers, fuel injectors, emission kits, pumps, and other miscellaneous parts from Marine Systems Inc. of Chesapeake, Virginia, for a total net contract price of $140,620.39. Marine Systems Inc. is the sole authorized sales, parts, and service provider for EMD Power Products for the United States. We intend to have suitable parts for planned maintenance of one of the engines on the Katama. Our in-house staff will be performing that work. the total price of $140,620.39 does not include the court charges in this one, so. So we're asking for authorization to approve, to authorize the general manager to execute the purchase of these miscellaneous parts, turbochargers, injectors, and pumps referenced in quotation 2727041 with Marine Systems, Inc. of Chesapeake, Virginia, for a total contract price, net contract price of $140,620.39.
Okay, any discussion?
I have a question, Mark, have we done the reevaluation yet of the containment and the GAIA?
Not yet.
We have had a surveyor that's preparing what they believe the value of those vessels will be, both on a scrap basis and on a market basis. The thing is that now with as I mentioned earlier, these first of the vessels being until later in the summertime, we may find that we're in a position that we need to overhaul the engine on the container before we can bring the other vessels online.
I just remain concerned about how much money we're putting in both the containment and the GAIA when we know that hopefully they have somewhere between a 6 to 9 month life with us and what the resale value.
We have done an assessment of what we still have on the books. So, and it's a book value depreciation.
Unfortunately, we're in a position where we don't have, during the summertime, we don't have a spare, so we want to make sure that, what we have is operational.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Yes, second.
Roll call vote, please.
Jeffrey, a continued reluctant eye.
Jones, aye.
Falcon, aye.
Rainey, aye.
Tierney, aye. And our last procurement item,
So this is to receive authorization to execute change order number 5 for contract number 02-2021. Redesign of the Steamship Authority's website and development of a mobile application with ADK Group LLC in the amount of $368,962. During the development process for the website and mobile app, several significant hurdles have been occurred in the project, which has largely been out of the control of both the Steamship Authority and ADK. In some regards, the largest of these is the switch to the new credit card processing service at the request of our bank, and in order to remain compliant with the credit card PCI compliance. In addition to this, so that's affected not only the website development, but also they have to spend time on the point of sale systems as well in the reservation office. Other delays have included work to secure a satisfactory contract for the content management system, which Sean reported earlier today that we did reach an agreement with Storybook on that service. The Storybook, correct? Storybook, sorry. And then also the development of the application programming interfaces that are needed to bridge between our reservation system and the website. So ADK originally estimated this to be approximately $690,000 to fund the development until the website launches in March. They initially proposed a discount equal to approximately $200,000 for that cost, but following further negotiations, they further discounted it by an additional $110,000, leaving the balance at $368,962, or approximately 53% of that original request. So we're asking that the members authorize the general manager to execute change order number 5, the contract 02-2021, redesign of the Steamship Authority website and development of a mobile application with ADK Group LLC, the amount of $368,962.
any discussion?
I have several questions. I guess the first one is, where are we in terms of the authority team on the updates to the IBM system, looking at the brief in support of the change order written by ADK? They point out that the authorities team must make some core changes to the IBM system infrastructure on how user data is stored and processed in order for us to complete the project. Where are we in giving them that access? Are we able to meet the deadline that this change order puts?
That's largely been, it's marked as red on here, but since this is written, that's largely been taken care of. So I believe those changes to our internal system need to be made by our people, and I believe that they're all done.
And then the same thing, where are we in terms of, if I'm mispronouncing, let me know, the IGAN system? And the access there?
Right, that they have, as I think I reported earlier, they are working now on some proof of concept flows for that. Part of the issue with IGAN is that that's a company-wide deployment, not just for the website. So we were beholden in some degree to IGAN's development process and the timeline for them to be able to get to us, and then all the other changes that have to be made throughout. But ADK has what they need. We have what we need, so we're proceeding apace on that. So that was a delay, but it's not currently our goal.
I just want to make sure that this is the only change order the board's going to see.
Absent a catastrophe, I believe.
Anything else? Any other questions,
No,
comments?
Okay.
May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
May I have a roll call vote, please?
Jones,
Jeffrey,
aye.
aye.
Jones, aye.
Jeff Malcolm, aye.
Granny, aye.
And Tierney, aye.
Okay, thank you.
Did you want to introduce this topic? Mr. Davis?
Sure. So the next item we have is a memorandum of understanding with Cape Cod Regional Transit Authority. So I'll ask Tom Cahir to join us up here at the table. So in your packet is a request to vote of the members to authorize the general manager to execute a memorandum of understanding between Cape Cod Regional Transit Authority, the CCRTA, and the Steamship Authority relative to grant funds from the Federal Transit Administration. So as most of you know, but I'll provide background anyway. So back in 2015, the Steamship Authority was approached by Tom and the CCRTA regarding eligibility to participate in the National Transit Database Program for possible funding opportunities through the FTA. With their assistance and guidance, the Steamship Authority applied for it and was accepted into the program. The CCRTA is the designated recipient for the Barnstable Urbanized Zone, the UZA, and thus grant funds that are related to the Steamship Authority's reporting activities are first transferred to the CCRTA. And then, as in the past, we've worked out memorandums of understandings with Tom and his people regarding the use of those funds. While these grant funds are a result of the Steamship Authority's operating data, again, CCRTA is the direct recipient and has oversight and audit responsibilities because of that oversight. So in addition to the standard grant funding historically received from the FDA, via the CCRTA, the Steamship Authority has been a subrecipient of the CCRTA under the UZA formula grant funds or section 49, subchapter 5307, through the Coronavirus Aid Relief and Economic Security Act or CARES Act, through the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplement Appropriation Act or CARISA, through the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 or ARPA, also under the section 5339 UZA formula grants and 5337 State of Good Repair grant funds. So under the MOU draft that's in your packet, the CCRTA agrees to reimburse the Steamship Authority for up to 100% of the additional Coronavirus Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act through FTA. And also, excuse me, and then urbanized area formula, and approximately 39% of the apportionment resulting from the Steamship Authority's direct reporting to the MTD. Similar to the standard apportionment funding allocations, funding from the FDA State of Good Repair Program will be split between the CCRTA and the Steamship Authority as well. So the MOU outlines the obligations of each party relative to these grant funds, and as well as acceptable usage of these funds and reporting obligations. Grant funds related to this program total $53,081,358, less payments that we've already received totaling $19,207,557, resulting in $35,873,801 in funding, which is available for the Steamship Authority for certain projects and services, including the defined eligible preventative maintenance expense, as well as capital items. So we're asking that the members vote to authorize the general manager to execute the attached memorandum of understanding between the Cape Cod Regional Transit Authority and the Woods Hole Mountains Vineyard Nantucket Steamship Authority concerning grant funds from the Federal Transit Administration related to the CARISA, CARES Act, ARPA, sections 5307, 5339, and 5337 funds. And before the board has a chance, I'll give Tom the floor. I do want to express my appreciation to Tom and his staff, including Henry Swazinski, and the rest of the CCI staff who have worked so closely with us on these funding programs. This MOU is just the most recent illustration of the ongoing strong partnership that the Steamship Authority has with the CCRTA, and how this partnership benefits the regional transit network, including our essential services to the island. In addition, I do want to thank the state's Washington, D.C. delegation, and in particular, Representative Bill Keating, for their ongoing support. Representative Keating was instrumental in having these funds available to the Barnstable UZA zone initially, and in turn to the Steamship Authority. And also our thanks to the FDA Regional Administrator, Peter Butler, who provided guidance during regarding the eligible uses of these funds. But Tom and his staff have worked very closely with us, and it's much appreciated that what they're able to do, not only for us, but also for the entire transportation network here on the Cape. Tom, do you have anything?
Well, thank you very much, Bob, Madam Chair, members of the board. Thank you for allowing me to come by for a few minutes and just speak to this issue. I think it's quite significant. You know, there's a lot of issues we deal with on a daily basis and pay attention to critical fiscal matters, but this is a very significant accomplishment for our region. And as Bob indicated, several years ago, we talked about the possibility of collaborating on, I don't want to get too technical, but the NTD reporting process, which generates more federal dollars back into our region. And it was somewhat unprecedented to use ferry miles and ridership in that calculation. And Bob and Mark in particular, from day one, have really been extraordinarily receptive to everything we've asked them to do, and jump through hoops and over hurdles and go through the process of getting involved and accepted into the process. And in subsequent years, the steamship's involvement has generated significant revenue back to this region, and it allows us as the designated recipient to spend those funds wisely to improve transportation throughout the 400 square miles on Cape Cod. And then, of course, with the pandemic and the federal legislation that Bob alluded to, CARES, CARISA, and ARPA, the criteria and formula that they used to generate the money back was significant, primarily because of the steamship's mileage. So I think Bob's foresight and Mark's constant accessibility and willingness to work with us, we've been, it's, as I said, somewhat unprecedented. Other regions around the country have looked to us to do this. And we have 15 regional transit authorities within the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And when we look at the funds that we've generated today, IUSA, it's about 40% of what the whole state generated. So I think, you know, we often get criticized if the bus breaks down or something goes wrong here and there, but I think the creative, innovative thinking that the steamship and CCRTA, my incredible staff, working together to develop this program has really been a good one. And it's not over, it's ongoing. And without getting too technical, what it requires is that the folks traveling over to the island are doing it on a daily basis as commuters. It's 50+1. And after the first year, when the FTA, wasn't even sure how to figure out what we were trying to do, they've become more sophisticated and want more data to make sure that we deserve the funding that we're requesting. And so that requires a constant survey. And every month we have our team working closely with the Cape Cod with the Cape Cod Commission, the Regional Land Use Planning Agency. And that has worked wonderfully. And again, both Highline, Bay State Cruises, Steamship have been very, very accommodating to the folks that are conducting these surveys. We're respectful of the customers that use the Steamship Authority, and it's all worked well. From all indications, all of our surveys have indicated 50+ significantly more than one on the designated route. So it's a good day, and it requires an MOU, and Mark and Bob and I were involved in the discussion, but Mark and my CFO really dug in and did all the things necessary to dot the i's and cross the t's. And there's been some changes in recent years at FTA, which now require the subrecipient to do a little bit more of the work than in the past years, where we had to do it all. Now the steamship is also responsible. We have to monitor those activities, but we also meet periodically. At Bob's suggestion several years ago, we decided, because of our collaboration and coordination, that we should meet, and we've been doing it about quarterly, talk about any issues of mutual interest. And we've seen, at least I've seen from the RTA's point of view, it has benefited us in a great way in terms of our bus movement around the Cape. We have 140 buses that traverse the Cape every day, 400 square miles, 1.6 million trips a year. So I think the collaboration has been a very positive one, and I thank the board for continuously being supportive. And I see Rob, who I've known for many years and worked with, and Bob and others. Mara, thank you for your support here, and hopefully we can continue to spend these dollars wisely.
Well, on behalf of the board, thank you very much for your support. It sounds like just a wonderful partnership that you guys have cultivated through, hard work and patience and understanding. So thank you so much. And thanks for coming to today's meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much.
Now.
Motion to approve.
Oh, yes, motion to approve.
I'll
Yes.
second.
Do I have a roll call vote?
Jeffrey, aye.
Jones, aye.
Malcolm, enthusiastic guy.
Yeah, sorry to jump in on that, but when you see something that's too good to be true, you gotta vote it immediately.
Rob, you're always covering me. Tierney, aye.
Thank you, and again, thanks for Tom and. No, wait, see, something back here, yeah. So, again, our appreciation to Tom and his staff. And you did mention about our work with the Cape Cod Commission too, in terms of that, they're a big partner in this, and my personal thanks to Mark Rosen for, working on all this, and he has a real good handle on all these grant funds, so appreciate that.
Shout out to Steve Tupper at the Cape Cod Commission. He's been, for someone with no skin in the game, been very helpful for the, putting together the, surveys and stuff. So we want to give a special shout out for him. Okay, absolutely. Thank you.
Next time, have the MOU ready to ink.
So with that, our next item is request the board to authorize the general manager to purchase, subject to satisfactory additional inspection, one used offshore supply vessel from Hornbeck Offshore Services LLC for a total contract price of $5,673,500, inclusive of the 2.5% brokerage fee as set forth in the purchase and sale agreement. So back in the spring of 2021, we started working on a vessel replacement plan. As you know, we came back to the board in August at their meeting to purchase 2 vessels from Hornbeck Offshore Services. Those vessels were inspected and at the end of August, and on September 22nd, we closed on the purchase of those 2. Which became the Aquina and the Monomoy. We also have an option to purchase up to 2 additional vessels from the Lodestar class. This option extends until November 30th, 2022. The closing date no later than December 30th. We've been working on additional funding sources, and obviously this is a huge piece of the funding source for this project. And so we're asking for authorization to authorize the general manager to purchase, subject to satisfactory additional inspections, 1 additional used offshore supply vessel from Hornbeck Offshore Services for a total contract price of $5,673,500, inclusive of the 2.5% brokerage fee as set forth in the agreement of purchase and sale. I should point out that the inspection costs are expected to be about $110,000 based on what we paid for the other ones. Also in your packet is an option for the 4th vessel. We talked with Hornbeck, and they're willing to extend the option for the 4th vessel up till the end of March of 2023. While we look for additional funding sources for that.
Any questions or comments?
Madam Chair, yes, just to confirm, so this is the same, it's a sister ship, the same class
Sister ship,
as the prior 2, so
Correct.
these are triplets now.
correct.
And so again, same type of vessel, same type of training, same type of manning and crewing, same type of spare parts. I think this is terrific. Thank you very much.
May I have a roll call vote?
Well, I'll make
Oh,
a
I
vote.
get a motion. I'm sorry.
Can I make a motion to approve?
Thank you, Mr. Randy. Do I have a second?
I'll
Second. Anybody?
Do we have a roll call vote?
Jeffrey, I.
Jones, aye.
Falcon eye.
Rainey, aye.
And Tierney, aye.
So likewise, it's in terms of this, my appreciation goes to Mark and his staff. They've been working on the conversion packet and also been working with the broker and the Hornbeck on this. So
Thank you very, very much. Great. That's great.
I just have 2 brief things, if I may. One, we do have additional service on the INO for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this weekend, the stroll weekend. So we'll be running the 5th trip on Thursday through Sunday for the INO. And hopefully the board all saw the staff, the press release that was issued relative to concessionaire center plate. Switching to aluminum cans for water on board the vessels in compliance with the island's plastic and boundless plastic and for single-use bottles. That's it for me.
Any items that I didn't reasonably anticipate?
Mr. Chair, if I may ask just a status question on 2 past old items.
Yes.
Sure. Where are we on the hiring status of the COO position and the grants coordinator And then my second question would be, when do you plan to present again, moving forward on procurement for a strategic plan and so on?
So, I'll answer the first one about the COO. The final first interview is going to be later this week, and at that point, make a determination whether there needs to be a second round or whether I'm comfortable with the first choice.
How many
Yeah.
candidates have we interviewed?
I want to say it's about 10 off the top of my head, 9 or 10. And then for the grants, Mark?
The grants, I believe we've been interviewed about 6 or 7 internal, external candidates. None of them have any FTA grant experience, which really is the back end of, is that we're concerned with the compliance and the reporting and the reporting. It's on, it's a lot of work, and that's where we're looking to. I've networked out at the Marine Logs Convention in San Francisco with people, at the New England Public Transit. We have advertisements in American Public Transit magazine. And we'll be reaching out to a third-party source as well to recruit to see if we can get some of that way.
And have we looked at all about being flexible about location to
Yes.
be 100% telecommunications?
Yes.
For the grants administrator.
It's
For the grants.
Yeah.
Not a CEO.
And it's a lot of people are having the same problems that, not speaking to Tom, but I know Tom just recently had someone lost it and then started again hiring, so it's very challenging position to get right now with the specialized position.
It's not a lack of resume, we have been receiving resumes, it's just that the qualifications is really.
If I may, there are firms that do grant writing as their business consultancy. And there are also training classes for grant writing as well. There's a number of firms that provide that on.
Yeah, we had met with
So
one.
we're one of those companies.
And we've been doing some of the NTID is the name of the organization through NTD for the training for the grants as well internally in the meantime.
And we have met, we did speak with one consultant that was, I believe was an Islander, but we're continuing the search.
Okay,
The-
Mr. Malcolm?
So the other question was the strategic plan. So, as you're aware, we're planning on having a joint meeting of the board and port council in December, on December 13th. So at that point, we anticipate bringing the strategic plan.
Okay, Mr. Malcolm?
Thank you, Chair. Bob. A number of months ago, the Martha's Vineyard Commission and the Vineyard Energy people had asked our consultant on our alternative energy proposals to respond to a number of questions that they had. I know that you took those questions and they went back to our consultant for a response. Where are we on that?
I kind of dropped the ball on that because I did talk with with John Waterhouse beginning part of November, and I haven't followed up with him, so I'll get back on my list.
If we could get a response by our meeting on the 13th, that would be great. Thank you.
All right, is there any public comment?
If I may, Rich Salzberg has lost his voice, so he texted me a question. So I will read it aloud verbatim. For Mr. Munson, can you elaborate on the bow thruster repair to the Katama and why it wasn't fixed when a diver was deployed earlier?
Good afternoon again. It was not diver related. Turned out to be a starter for the prime mover. And these fail time to time. We address them in our preventive maintenance program. We always try to keep the best foot forward, but in this time, it just took time to change it out.
I will presume Rich said thank you. And Louisa, who can talk for herself.
Oh, yeah.
Hi. Through the chair to, I guess, Sean, what are the plans for naming boat 3?
You can or I can.
We have a robust list of names from our prior contests of our intention is to bring a revised slate to the Board and Port Council at their joint meeting on December
December 13th.
13th.
Right,
Yes.
good. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
That appears to be it.
Is Terrence still here?
I hope so. Yeah, I'm still here.
Terrence, could you
Yes.
read the announcement for me? Whether or not we're gonna plan to reconvene that announcement?
Yeah, just a
I
second.
don't have-
Yeah. wait. It's gonna take me a second more. I didn't bring a copy down.
Let me see if I can find it. I didn't get one in this agenda, so let me see if I can find it in October's.
Well, I'm gonna have to read the one that I sent you today.
I have it, Terry. All
Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
right, I've got it.
Thank you.
I'd like to entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss and approve the minutes of the authorities meeting in executive session on September 27th, 2022. And to review the authority's strategy with respect to security issues and collective bargaining negotiations. Because a public discussion of these matters may have a detrimental effect on the authority's security and its negotiating and bargaining positions. These matters include video surveillance system service contract renewal and anticipated and ongoing negotiations with Teamsters Union Local 59 and its maintenance employees. The public disclosure of any more information with respect to these matters would compromise the purposes for which the executive session is being called. After the conclusion of the executive session, we will not reconvene in public. May we have a motion?
Second,
May I have a roll call vote?
Jeffrey, I.
Jones, I.
Okay,
Tierney, aye. Okay,
3:45.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll reconvene at 3:45. So as Mr. Jones, Mr. Vanny, Ms. Tierney, if you can sign off and then come back on in about 15 minutes.
okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.